Hello everybody and welcome to Diamond Gunsmithing. Today we are going to talk about a 1911, a Tisus to be specific. I had gotten this weapon through the SDI program. Don't ask me why, still haven't taken it to range yet, but that's going to be my next project. However, this gun is very sturdy, very durable, has a 5-inch long barrel with a 2.5 pound crisp trigger pull. They also come with wooden and plastic grips. I really like the wooden ones. Kind of see it there. Looks nice, gives a good look to it. I do actually plan on recoating this and giving it kind of a desert look to it, but we'll see. But 1911s are usually pretty durable, reliable, dang near indestructible. A lot of people trust these for their concealed carry. They are a little heavy, probably on the 5-pound scale or so, but they are chambered in a 45 ACP. Magazines, standard magazines hold 7 plus 1. So yeah, that's about it. Double action, all right? But for this video, we're going to disassemble and reassemble this firearm. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the comments below, and I hope you enjoy this video. All right, let's go ahead and tear this puppy apart. First off, these are going to be the tools we're going to need. A couple of medium and small flat tip screwdrivers, a little hammer, a couple of different armor blocks. These ones are specifically for 1911s to help take off the barrel buffer. All right, you don't necessarily need one. You can do one with your fingers, but for those that like to use tools and whatever, you can use this one. It is magnetic, so you don't lose your parts and whatnot. I do also recommend this one only because of this piece here, and you'll kind of have to like modify it a little bit, but it is a 1911 armor's block, and mainly because of this spot here is so that you can remove, or not necessarily remove, but reinstall your mainspring housing spring, right? You can do it if you have a good vise. Otherwise, this one just allows you to push in to compress the mainspring or the hammer spring and put in the retaining pin, all right? But not required, just kind of makes the job a little bit easier. Okay, first, what's the first thing we do before handling firearms? Exactly, make sure it is clear and safe, okay? No ammunition, and it is clear. Now with this gun, it has to be cocked in order to put it on safe. As you can see, it doesn't go. This also has a grip safety as well. So even if the safety is off and you don't have a good grip on it, it still will not go. So you have to have a firm grip, safety off, pull the trigger in order to make it go bang. All right, so first thing we got to do is, this is the barrel buffer, all right? We need to remove that. Well, we have to disengage it first. How we do that, on this particular model, some other 1911s are a little different, but you push down on the spring and just spin it clockwise, slowly release it, and the spring plug come undone, okay? Now, you have, in order to remove this buffer, you just swing it 180 degrees, or so, actually a little less than that, just until the lugs come into the grooves, all right? And you take it off. Okay, so now we have to remove the slide from the frame. In order to do so, okay, cock to the rear. Now, these two indents here, this one is your slide stop, is to lock the slide to the rear. This one here must be in line with your slide stop in order to push up against this to remove said slide stop. Okay, simple. Once that has been removed, there's nothing really holding the slide to the frame. So, voila, frame, slide, come apart, okay? Now, to remove the barrel, unlike striker fires, where, you know, when you tilt the barrel up, right, it falls down, and you take it out. This one, you actually have to take it all the way out from the front of the slide, all right? Once you do that, then you're good. Now, at this point, this is the field strip, okay? So after you've taken it to the range, gotten all dirty, you want to clean it up, this is as far as you go, okay? If you want to change out parts, you want to do trigger work, whatever it may be, or something's broken internally, then you're going to have to go a little bit further. So let's go ahead and do that. First, we're going to do the slide. Fairly simple. All right, first part is removing the firing pin, okay? Firing pin is being held in by the firing pin stop. In order to remove it, you just take a punch to press on the firing pin, push downward on the stop. Keep your finger there so you don't fling out your firing pin. Stop comes out, which then firing pin comes out, okay? The spring and pin do come off, okay? There you go. Lastly is the extractor. At this point, nothing's really holding it together. Extractor bar comes out, and there you go. Simplest slide I have ever really taken apart, okay? So that's it. Next, we're gonna go ahead and disassemble the frame. So, in order to do so, all right, you have to remove the grip plates, okay? Find yourself a medium size screwdriver. Now, if you have a nice 1911, this one's been kind of a little beat up while going through school, learning about it. There's been some scratches and dings on it, so never mind those. But you want to make sure you find yourself a good fitting flathead, right? And be mindful of where the screwdriver is at so you don't scratch up any of the finish, right? Or the grips or whatever it is that you're taking off, all right? The other smaller one here is to remove the magazine release, all right? If you have a nice finish, whether it's chrome or freshly painted, right? You want to be careful when turning those screws. But let's go ahead and take these off. All right, panels are off. So, next part, all right, you're gonna wanna take off the mainspring housing and the grip safety, but in order to do so, make sure this hammer is forward. Now, when your slide is not installed, do not allow the hammer to go forward freely because you can damage this little area here. You don't want that. So just slowly guide it forward. This time, if you have one, you can use an armorer's block. Get yourself a good sized punch. Couple good whacks. Okay. Now, if you forget to disengage the hammer and you take this pin out, just be mindful that that spring is under serious tension. So you'll want to remove the punch slowly, all right? Otherwise, that thing's going to travel. But once you take the pin out, slowly remove the housing, okay? Put that off the side. We'll take a look at that later. Now, in order to remove the grip, okay, you have to remove the safety first, okay? Safety, for the most part, is pretty easy. I will say that brand new 1911s, you may have a little difficult time on this. But in order to take it out, get a good grip on this little lip here and just wiggle it back and forth, all right? Also, do yourself a favor and be mindful of how this plunger and spring come out. If you do it backwards, all right, you will have a very difficult time putting on the safety. You will eventually get it into a spot and it's not right, and it will take forever to remove that safety off. So in order to do so, after you have put everything together, I'll reiterate this later, you're gonna have to retake it apart and the hammer will be cocked. So all that will be under tension. So be mindful of how this plunger and spring come out. All right, and at that point, your grip safety comes off. Okay, cool. Now, if you look in here, you have your sear springs, okay? Keep an eye, you know, sometimes I like to take pictures when it's the first time doing it, but be mindful of how this was sitting, right? So you can remove it or reinstall it properly. Next, you're gonna want to remove the hammer, all right? The hammer is now free of any tension, and these pins are actually pretty easy to remove, all right? You just need just a little push, and they only go in one way. So you can kind of see there's a little lip there, right? So they only go in one spot. You'll kind of see that the holes look slightly different, all right? So pay attention to that. Then your hammer and your strut come off. No need to take out this pin, all right? This does come into an assembly if you broke your hammer or your strut. So if you had to replace this, it comes in a unit. I'm sure you could buy it individually somewhere, but trying to remove that pin could be a little bit of a pain. Next, you're gonna remove your sear and disconnector pin. Again, same type, only goes in one way. Move it off to the side. Also, these pins are two different sizes, okay? So they only go in certain holes. Then out's gonna come your sear and your disconnector, okay? Last bit, it's going to be the magazine release in order to remove the trigger, right? Some 1911s you've seen, they're a little bit longer. They got the 3 holes in them. If you wanted to replace that trigger, you would have to remove this all the way down completely in order to remove it. But it's fairly simple. Do it enough times, it'll be easy. To remove this magazine release, you have to push on the button, and then you're going to turn counterclockwise until it disengages, and it just comes right out. If you had to replace anything in here, all right, with your flathead, all right, you're gonna turn 90 degrees clockwise, and it all comes out. There you go, easy peasy. My kids have been saying that a lot lately. It's weird. And the trigger just comes right out. And that's it. You are now fully disassembled for this 1911 A1 GI model. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put it all back together. Slide the trigger back in. Now, this could go in upside down, but be mindful of this little edge here at the end, all right? It goes with the grip. Slide it right in just like that. You'll have to put your magazine release back together. with that small little flathead. You're gonna push down and 90-degree turn counterclockwise. And there you go. Which then, you're gonna put it into place. You have to hold the button again. It will not be under tension because there's nothing there to disengage the spring. So you'll have to find that sweet spot, 90-degree turn, clockwise. Once you do it, you'll hear that little click and it's in place. And there you go. I'm sure there's lighter springs in here. This one's actually fairly tough, but it's in there. Next is going to be your disconnector, all right? This little piece here goes to the rear, all right? This spot here goes into this hole, okay? But you feed it from the bottom up. Okay, let it sit on the trigger. Now this part's a little tricky. Take your sear. Your sear is going to go in from the rear like this, all right? And it's going to sit right over this little centerpiece here. Hardest part is getting the holes lined up. Now, what I found easy is you find yourself a small enough punch and you find a way to get the holes lined up. There we go. All right, holes are lined up. Now, when you install everything, you need to make sure that these claws here are on top of the disconnector, okay? Or you will find yourself having a hard time putting everything together. There we go, just like that. See? Okay. Now, once you have found it, slowly put it back on its side, remove the punch, insert the sear and disconnector pin. And there you go. Now we're golden. Okay? All right. Next is going to be our hammer. Hammer's going to go get in line with this hole here. Grab your pin, find the spot, put it in. Good. Okay, now is going to be the sear, okay? So this little hook, okay, this far spot, that's gonna sit right in here and go right over the lip of the disconnector, okay? Best way to do it. Oh, and it's got to go under the hammer strut. Find its position. There's another claw in here, and that's going to go in that little recess. And you just push it back, and it goes right into place. Okay? Now you can start putting the, I forgot to talk about this. Mainspring housing. So this one is fairly easy for the most part to remove. All right, find yourself a decent size punch. Okay, push down on it. Find a small enough one to push the pin out. And be careful because that is under a lot of tension. So So there's our mainspring housing, all right? Housing, this is, oh, and then the pin. This is your hammer spring. This is your mainspring housing retaining pin or retainer cap, all right? And we're going to use this block to put it back together. All right. So you can orient it like this. And you're gonna push in, and then I suggest putting a punch through there once it's seated. Actually, you're gonna put a punch through here, and then as you pull the punch out, you can replace it with the pin. All right. There we go. There you go. Okay. So as you remove the punch, insert the pin, your hammer, put it back in. So that's the main housing spring and how to disassemble it all. Oh, so now we reinstall it in, okay? You have to push in a little bit to go up against the sear, all right? Now, the hammer strut has to fall inside that pocket, okay? So you have to push it in. You have to come from the back. Push the hammer strut out a little bit. There you go. But sits in a little pocket like that, okay? But don't put it all the way in just yet because you need to put in the grip safety. Put in this little spot first, slides in, push the mainspring housing in. Okay. Grab the mainspring housing pin, put it in place. A little tappy, and there you go. For this next part, we're gonna put the safety back on. Now remember, this part sticks out on the right. Tiny part goes forward. Put it in, should stick out like that, okay? For this, the hammer will have to be cocked. Now, you're going to put this shaft, this hole here, and then you have to line this up with this bottom two indents, okay? Also, you have to make sure that your grip safety is in line in order to put it in. Now, you kind of see in here, right? When you find the spot, okay? Now you push in and you twist upward until you are in line with the holes. You get yourself a small little punch to push up on the plunger, push in on the safety, and there you go, okay? Again, do not put this plunger and spring in backwards, because if this goes in, you will have one hell of a time trying to get it off, because you have to remove this, which is under spring tension. It's a real pain in the butt. All right, so that is the frame, with the exception to the panels. Let's go ahead and just put these panels back on. Okay, there's one panel. And there's your frame. Okay. Remember, do not let it slam up against there. It can damage your frame. All right, so let's put that off to the side. Now let's put together our slide. I'll start with the extractor bar. This little flat part here is going to go in line with this. Slides right in. Voila. Next, we're going to put our firing pin and spring back together. Okay. Put it into its slot. And now the firing pin stop. Curved end, it's going to go in first. If you push down on the firing pin until it clears your firing pin, you can then grab your punch, push down on the firing pin, push in on the stop until it's in. Okay. Next, we're going to put in our barrel. Then the buffer. Make sure the lug is in line with the recess. Okay. Turn it, keep it in place. You're going to take your recoil spring plug. You want to put it right behind here so it stays in place. Put your lug nut, your barrel lug or link, barrel link. You want it to kind of look like that, so then it can come in line with this hole here. Make sure the barrel is locked in. Gently put the slide in. Okay. If you line up the holes with the link, it'll go in. Next, remember that indent there, want it in place so you can push the slide stop in place. Sling the slide forward, grab your spring, install, and the spring plug. Push in all the way, spin the buffer, and there you go. A function check. Slowly release, pull the trigger. That's it. And that is the disassembly and reassembly of the Tisas 1911 A1 government issued pistol. I hope you learned something today. If you already knew most of it, I hope you learned something new today. Most importantly, hope you all are healthy. Hope you all are happy. Be blessed. Thank you very much. Have a great day.